We hope 2022 is off to a good start. Today's video will take us back to an incident in Dubai that occurred before Christmas on December 20th, an incident which has raised questions about some pilots' skills and experience levels. In this particular situation, an Emirates Boeing 777-300ER bound for Washington, D.C. overran the runway while taking off, narrowly missing houses close to the airport. Let's take a look at the details of the event. According to the Aviation Herald, the Emirates 777, registration Alpha 6 Echo Quebec, India, was operating EK231 from Dubai to Washington, D.C. on Monday, December 20th, when the incident occurred. This flight regularly makes an 02:35 a.m. departure to the US capital. On the day in question, the jet accelerated for takeoff on Dubai's runway 30 right. It rotated for takeoff past the end of the runway and did not become airborne until reaching the end of the runway end safety area. The Boeing passed over the first private homes at 18,500 feet or 5,640 meters past the runway threshold, flying just 75 feet above ground level. The aircraft transponder indicates that Alpha 6 Echo Quebec, India stayed on the runway until accelerating through at least 260 knots over the ground, about 14,400 feet or 4,400 meters past the runway threshold and about 90 meters short of the localizer antennas, with the Aviation Herald reporting that the aircraft sustained some damage on departure. After safely gaining some altitude, the 777 continued on to Washington, D.C., where it was checked for cracks as well as damage to the wings, flaps, and landing gear. The plane operated a return service to Dubai, where the Boeing was temporarily grounded. There were also unconfirmed reports that 4 crew members lost their jobs over the incident. In the aftermath, Emirates also issued a crew alert to its pilots that suggested the autopilot was incorrectly configured. Crews are reminded there are no FCOM, Flight Crew Operating Manual, normal procedure requirements to change the MCP or mode control panel after landing or shutdown, the alert reads. The mode control panel tells the autopilot to stick to a specific altitude. It appears the Boeing 777 pilots did not set the autopilot to an altitude of 4,000 feet, the initial climb altitude. Instead, they left the altitude setting at the master control panel at 0 feet, probably from the jet's previous landing in Dubai. As a result, when taking off, the flight director did not indicate takeoff rotation, but instead indicated maintaining that altitude as Alpha 6 Echo Quebec, India continually barreled down runway 30 right in Dubai. There have been times when the MCP altitude window has been set to the airport elevation, which may cause issues on the subsequent departure. The FCOM 4.10.2 states that the AFDS or Autopilot Flight Director system will engage in ALT when the first flight director switch is turned on if the MCP selected altitude is within 20 feet of the displayed barometric altitude. Crews shall not set airport elevation on the MCP after landing or shutdown, the alert added. Since the near disaster, many experienced pilots have said they usually prefer to hand fly on takeoff rather than immediately flicking to autopilot. They also say at least 2 pre-departure checklists should have picked up the 0 feet setting in the control panel. There are suggestions that there was a lack of experience and situational awareness in the cockpit that morning, causing the errors. What are your thoughts on this incident? We'd love to hear them in the comment section. In addition to our daily YouTube videos, Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles and a podcast every week. If you're looking for the latest aviation news and insights, visit simpleflying.com. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe before you go.